It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Robin Mines. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiuchendu. Thanks a lot for joining us on our very first show in the year 2022. I think a lot of us are going into the year more cautiously optimistic than we previously would at the start of a year. I think 2020 and 2021 have taught us big lessons on being too excited, but we're hopeful, at least to an extent, that this year would at least be better than the last and the one before that. There's a lot happening still around the world. COVID is still ravaging many countries around the world. The Omicron strain is throwing up crazy and scary numbers around the world, including here in Nigeria. We're starting to hear whispers about a florona. I don't know what that one is, but I think it's just important that we all still try and stay as safe as we can so that we can defeat this and move on ahead. But 2022 is also going to be probably heavily politics involved with Nigeria this year. The general elections are going to be coming up at the start of the next year, but this year, of course, is going to see a build up to that with all the conventions and political candidates obviously coming up to sell to Nigerians their plans. We have a president who is in power now, who's rounding off his second term in office, so we're going to have brand new candidates, at least it seems like that. So it's going to be an interesting year. We're going to be starting our conversation of talking about factors that will probably shape 2022 in politics, and I'm joined now from our Abuja studios by Jide Ojo. Jide, if you can hear me, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Ebuka. It's a pleasure
Happy
to
New
be on
Year.
your show.
Thanks for being here today.
Same to you, bro.
Yes, let's go straight to the point. Like I said, this is going to be a very heavy political year, and fortunately, unfortunately, we focus a little too much on the center, and that, of course, is going to take a huge part of the attention for people. We're starting to hear whispers about, possible candidates and all of that, especially from the two major parties, the PDP and the APC. A lot of names have been thrown into the ring. Of course, you are a public affairs analyst, and you definitely know what's coming. Do you look at the field without, of course, confirmations of anybody yet, and are sort of excited, hopeful, or worried about, what this year would look like with regards to politics?
Well, for me, the year is starting on a fast pace in terms of politicking. There will definitely, the first election will be next month in FCT here. The area council election is scheduled for February 12th. So we at the Federal Capital Territory will have the first feel of what the electoral climate will be. Right now, campaigns are about starting. There are 6 area councils in Abuja, in FCT, Buhari, Kuje, Gwagwalada, Abaji, Amak, and then the 6th one, which escaped. So that's the first test case. But more importantly, next month, we'll be having the convention of the All Progressive Congress. Recall that the convention, national convention of the APC, which was supposed to lead to the election of National Working Committee of the party, was rescheduled or postponed from December, tentatively scheduled for February 2022. So that will revolve political activities. One other thing you need to look out for, Ebuka, is defections. There will be mass defection into and out of APC. We saw a bit of that last year. 3 governors moving from PDP to APC. Governor David Umahi of Ebonyi, Bello Matawale of Samfara, and then the Cross River State Governor, Professor Ben Ayade, quite a number of members of the House of Reps and Senate. So we'll see quite a number of that still happening in the course of the year because of issue of ticket. This year we'll witness the what we call party nomination exercise. So, and already that is causing a bit of furore, given the fact that it was as a result of the limitation of party primaries to only direct primary that made the president to withhold assent in December. Quite a number of, by the time National Assembly resumes on January 18, we have been told they will, one of the first assignments they will be performing will be to amend the bill and to make it
All right.
fit into what the president will be able to append his signature on.
Okay, sorry,
The
just
political climate, the
sorry to
forecast.
cut you in there because I want us to just talk about a few other things. I know that, I mean, the defections, of course, are going to be a big one. Everybody's already talking about possible people who are going to be flying around political parties. But I want to talk about, you know, the Electoral Act and all of that is definitely still very big in the conversation. But I mean, Anambra was the last elections that were held, the Anambra state elections. A lot of talk, you know, about how violent it was going to be. Of course, in lead up to it, it was quite bloody. But on the day or days of the elections, things seem to have turned out quite well, even though the numbers of people who came out to vote were beyond appalling. Do you think that's going to be sort of a precursor to what to expect this year and, of course, early next year in the general elections with regards to turnout and, I mean, sadly or hopefully not, the violence as well? Is that something you think that's going to be happening?
Ebuka, the truth about low voter turnout is that when you look at the statistics from 2007, the last time we have significant voter turnout was the most discredited election in Nigeria, which was in 2007. If we want to deal with the menace or the issue of low voter turnout, a number of things will have to happen. And it goes beyond whether there is violence or not. Even if everything is calm, I can tell you for free that many people will not come out to vote because our electioneering is very cumbersome and it is straitjacketed. Let me draw a comparison between Nigeria and US. In US, and I've been privileged to observe election in US in 2010, in US, you have almost 5 to 6 ways by which you can cast your ballot. There is what is called diaspora voting. That means out-of-country voting. Nigeria do not have that provision. There is what is called early voting. Nigeria does not have that provision. There is what is called voting by proxy. Nigeria does not have that provision. In US, average time for casting of ballot is 12 hours. I observed the election in Washington, D.C. and in Maryland. It is 12 hours from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. In Nigeria, the average time for people to cast their ballot is 6 hours, from 8:30 to 2:30 or from 8 to 2. So in countries where people can, on their way to work, vote, can go to vote during break or on their way back home, you cannot draw a comparison with that. Our own system where the entire system is shut down, people lose income, people are unhappy. And then because you shut down the economy, a lot of people who registered in far-flung places, maybe where they are working or their former homes, could not do transfer of their voting details. And because there is a shutdown of economy, many people could not travel to where they registered to be able to vote, which
All
is
right.
why many Nigerians are saying we need internet voting or what they call electronic voting.
Electronic voting. All right, I'll
But
come back to you, sir.
what many Nigerians do not understand.
Sorry to cut you in there because we have someone else who's joining us. I just quickly want to get his view. I'll come back to you. Obinna Osisiogu, who is the convener of We Vote. Obinna, thanks a lot for joining us. I still want to talk about, you know, we're talking about this electoral act, or electoral reform act, which has become quite controversial for a lot of people, with the president withholding his assent to the bill. And we're talking, like I was talking just now with Jide Ojo about, you know, the issues with regards to voting and how apathy has almost become the norm here. How much is that, you think, going to help if the way the act stands now, there's an accent to it. Is there anything you're seeing there that would probably help the way we vote in Nigeria be better?
A lot, a lot. The truth of the matter is that INEC is doing a great job. They have been doing a great job to, revamp the electoral system. But the main problem that we're having in the electoral process is an issue of trust. Nigerians do not trust the electoral system. They don't trust the electoral process. And it's a very tricky thing to manage. But one of the things that we can all agree on is that the act, as it is right now, reflects the will of the people. It reflects the consensus of Nigerians. It's something that Nigerians collectively yearn for. We want a new law. Civil society, citizens, everybody agrees that we need an electoral reform, especially as it is now. And what is happening with the situation of the Electoral Act is only further going to aggravate the apathy, the voter apathy, because it's going to confirm the opinion of Nigerians that the electoral system cannot be trusted. And by the simple and mere act of passing that Electoral Act as it is now, the bill as it is now, there will be an increase in the faith of Nigerians in the electoral process. And that alone will improve voter turnout in coming elections. That alone will improve it. It also, of course, it's important to mention the fact that the direct primaries is something that a lot of Nigerians are yearning for. It's something that will democratize the process of elections and leadership in Nigeria very well. One of the reasons that Mr. President cited for rejecting the law is that it's going to increase litigation in the courts. And that's, with all due respect, it's not a cogent reason. In fact, the more litigations we have in the party system, the better for our democracy. The better for our democracy, because the average Nigerian fails to understand, for instance, that they have certain rights as members of the political party. They can stop, they can seek release from the court when some funny games are being played in the political party that goes against their interest as a member of that party. The average typical Nigerian thinks that political parties belong to the board of trustees and the big politicians. And so until we can get to a point where the average Nigerian realizes that as a member of a political party, you can actually call the shots in what goes on in the party, then we cannot say we're actually practicing proper democracy. And yes, to answer your question, the Electoral Amendment Act should be passed as it is, because it will greatly go a long way in combating voter apathy in Nigeria.
Okay. We also have Miriam Laushi with us. Miriam, thanks a lot for joining us. And of course, Happy New Year to you again. I want to talk about, the politicking itself. We'd had our earlier speaker talk about, possible defections and all of that. But I want to talk about issues, because a lot of these things, unfortunately, never seem to be in the conversation when we start talking, politics in particular. All we're going to hear about, I know in the coming month, is zoning and whose turn it is and all of that. That's against the issues. We all know these issues are important, but are we at a point where you think those conversations will matter? And what sort of issues should we be listening to?
I think they kind of go together. These issues will matter more if we talk about it more. So we're pretty much in a situation whereby it's up to us to kind of determine how our politics are going to run from 2023 and beyond. So without a doubt, Nigerians still vote on sentiment. Politics is still dependent on a person's region, a person's religion, what kind of help they'll give to a certain group of people while they are in office. And unfortunately, this is a reality we can't escape in Nigeria, because even outside of politics, this is what we see on a day-to-day basis. And so in order for us to begin to change that, there has to be a change in public discourse. How do we set the agenda? How do we get people to begin to discuss, issue-based politics and issue-based governance, so that there is a change in how, Nigerians vote, how Nigerians even, you were talking about voter apathy. If people begin to understand the issues better and we bring these discussions more, I think it will actually improve, the number of people who register to vote and actually come out to vote on the main day.
Yeah, and we're going to be having elections in what is probably our most for want of a better word, insecure year, for want of a better word. I mean, it's a lot of people are worried about just going out. And like I said earlier, we saw that play out in Anambra, where the lead up to the election was pretty violent, which meant on the day, most people just didn't want to go out, to vote. And the insecurity in the land at this moment, it's literally everywhere. Virtually every state has something to say about, something happening in their corner. You see that also playing a big role in how things are going to shape.
Absolutely. I think we've seen how in the eastern region of Nigeria, people were banned from coming out on Mondays, I think, one of the days of the week. We've seen how in the Northwest, there's been a lot of banditry, a lot of killings and attacks. Even in the Northeast now, we also have, as it has been for a really long time, insurgency. So pretty much just like you said, there's been a lot of violence all around the country. And what happens, I think, is at the end of the day, nobody wants to risk getting hurt because of a vote. And at the end of the day, if a person feels like their vote is not going to count, then it's not worth risking their life for. And it's totally understandable. We actually cannot blame Nigerians for thinking that way, because their life is absolutely important. So coming down to it, I think that insecurity is going to play a big role. I think even bringing it down to the aspect of women, because society tends to want to protect women, there's going to also be a chance that a lot of women will not come out in order to stay safe. And this is probably, from the statistics, we see that about more than half of the registered voters are actually women. So there's going to be a lot of that coming into play. And it comes down to our security agencies. It comes down to our government. It comes down to the way our political parties act and the way candidates act in 2023 to ensure that people feel comfortable enough, people feel safe enough to come out and vote.
All right, let me just quickly go back to Obinna now. Very quickly, Obinna, if you can, in like a minute. What do you want to see in 2022? Because it's going to be a heavily political year. What do you want to see as quickly as you can?
Well, first of all, I would like to see National Assembly take very decisive action on the electoral amendment bill as it is, and ensure that it's passed, because it's what Nigerians really need going into. It's going to be the key determinant of what the election year ends up being. And secondly, and very importantly, and I think this is because it goes to the issue of the work that I do, I want to see an increased registration of young people in doing the continuous voter registration. We have until June 30th, and we need to see more young people register to vote. Right now, we currently have about 2.2 million people registered since the continuous voter registration started till now. I want to see multi-sectoral collaboration. I want to see the entertainment sector, the private sector, the public sector, and the civil society space collaborate to ensure that more young people, more Nigerians in general, actually turn out to register and eventually vote.
All right, thank you very much, Obinna, Miriam, and Jide. We're going to take a quick break now and come back. Please don't go away. All right, welcome back. Before the break, we're talking about factors that will shape Nigeria in 2022 in politics. Just to quickly round up the conversation with Jide Ojo, who is in our Abuja studios. Jide, very quickly, like I asked Obinna earlier, what do you want to see in the year with politics? Very briefly.
First, the conclusion of the Electoral Amendment Bill 2021. Secondly, a violence-free candidate nomination process. Third, quick and prompt release of funding to INEC. We do know that 305 billion was requested by INEC for the conduct of 2023 elections. The budget has been signed, but quick budget release will ensure adequate planning by INEC. Number 4 thing I want to see is, a better conduct of the elections. We have area council election in FCT in February. We have Ekiti gubernatorial election, the off-cycle gubernatorial election in June. We have the Osun gubernatorial election sometimes in July. All of this will be a test case for the 2023 election. So we need better conducted, the equipment should work best. the issue of BVAS, that's a biometric voter accreditation system device.
Yeah.
We want to see a significant improvement in that. INEC need to do a lot more in educating Nigerians on where they are going to vote. We do recognize that about 57,000 additional polling units were created in 2021, but since there have been a shift in where people used to cast their ballot, INEC needs to either through text messages or email or whatever, let people know where their new polling units will be so that there will be no confusion about voter access, where people are supposed to cast their ballot in those off-cycle, off-season elections that we are going to see and subsequently in 2023.
All right.
My advice to political class is that they should be in their best element. They should follow due process in the conduct of their party primaries. It should not be something rancorous. It should not be something that will lead to violence, because they are the only one that are permitted to nominate candidates. We do not have provision for independent candidacy, so they need to be best behaved as we prepare for 2023.
Thank you very much. Miriam, same question to you as quickly as you can.
What I want to see in this year, as well as the coming elections, is always more action from people in general, because it takes a lot. It's going to take a lot for the way politics runs in Nigeria to change, to improve. We're looking up to some of the best democracies in the world, like the US. And in order to start getting to a place like that, then we need to start working towards our own action as citizens, even if we're not part of political parties or running. Voting and getting more people to come out to vote and taking our vote seriously and not being apathetic to it, I think is really important. So my hope and my desire for Nigerian politics is to just see more people active, more people involved, and more people invested in the entire process.
Thank you very much, Miriam Laushi, Jide Ojo, and Obinna Siogu. We're all keeping our fingers crossed and hoping for a very, very violent-free and good year. I mean, we're all political buffs and we're usually excited at political season, but I don't know if this year is going to give us the kind of excitement we're hoping for. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Thanks a lot for joining us today. Yeah, we're going to switch our conversation now and go from politics to entertainment. And I have here with me someone who knows everything about this sector, a very good friend of mine, Dotur, a.k.a. the Energy God. Thanks a lot for being here today. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you, man. How are you?
Good to see you. I'm very well. You have been in the thick of this drama that's been going on social media between Ghana and Nigeria. Something started by Shatawale, which has now snowballed into this week-long. I mean, it started last year. I mean, last year, was just 3 days ago. But it started last
with
year.
Jollof rice.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, it's become something else. For the last week, I feel like every day there's been a Ghana-Nigeria conversation about music. Who needs to help who? Who's doing this? What's going on there? And, you know, what do you think is going to change this year with that?
Well, for me, it's like a love-hate relationship. We love ourselves. Our music has transcended into something we always bite off from the days of Afrobeat. But now the good thing is, I mean, I see it's not, to me, it's not unhealthy. It's a good competition, but in the same length of having the best friendship that we can have. But I feel like for me, the Shatta Wale conversation is moved away from just the music. It's way more than that. And
there's a lot of issues that you can tell.
Exactly. Even from the days of football, you know, anytime Nigeria and Ghana are playing, it's a different thing, you know. People go, the feelings are a lot different. And sometimes I feel I can trace it back to the conversation of the Ghana must go, and then he transcended into, you know, a lot of people would not admit to it, but the fact is, if we need to be honest with ourselves, you know, for me, like I had the best friends, Ghanaian friends. I attended Mayflower School, Kenya, and most of my teachers were Ghanaians. You know, my maths teacher, the guy who made me even do so well in maths, was a Ghanaian guy, you know. But the truth is, when it comes to music and entertainment, it's a lot different, because I feel like Nigeria, we feel like there's a lot of things we go through, but there's just one thing that we have, which is our strength, is the fact that we have a big heart and we like to, you know, nest anywhere and we want to steal the show. It's just how we're wired. But for the music, we also own that too, to an extent, you know. But the truth is, Ghana, Nigeria, when it comes to entertainment music, you know, we've gone bigger in that space.
Yeah.
It's just that it has moved away from just the music. So sometimes it might be just this jollof rice or how this, and everybody just goes crazy.
There's people who have said, I mean, there's probably some truth to what he said, you know, with how Nigeria, I mean, we know we dominate anywhere we sort of enter. And music has now become, all of a sudden, Grammy is now like, oh yeah, we're going to win it again, you know. There's no, almost, you know, I started taking it for granted. But I want to talk about, you know, you work on radio.
Yeah.
Radio has always been sort of the platform where you can make or break an artist. And even locally here, you hear artists complain about the fact that there's only a certain sound that people on radio play, you know, DJs.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of artists out of Lagos who have to move here talk about it as well. You know, I'm a high life artist. I'm a dance hall artist, but I don't get the same sort of treatment if I don't do Afro beats. Is there something valid in that conversation? Because that's probably kind of what Shatawale is saying.
Yeah.
We do hip life, we don't do Afro beats. Is that why you guys don't play them? Is there any truth to that?
Well, to me, first of all, it's not true. Now, this is my angle to Nigeria. We dominate when it comes to the music and Afrobeat. The truth is, a lot of them get a lot of support here. Stoneboy,
Very true.
Jackie, Kitty. I can go on and on. Tic Tac from Days of Tic Tac, Batman Stamini. All these guys got the biggest ovation here. Now, the good thing about us is we're diverse. We like to bite off things that we know as long as it sounds good. For example, the Amapiano is from South Africa.
It's huge here now.
It's huge
like,
here
that's
now.
all I
We
hear.
jump on it. The good thing, we see something that's good and we jump on it. Now, the thing for them is, naturally, I think they also need to break out. They need to come out. For example, I can tell you, for R2Bs, we huge here in Nigeria. When Wande did a song with them, Wizkid, even then, Wizkid jumped on R2B's song at that time. The truth is, they need to come out. Like when Jackie came, they're always surprised because you cannot stay. A lot of African countries don't understand that sometimes, as big as you are in your space, naturally Nigerians, we don't stay in our comfort zone. That's how we are.
Yes.
And for music, because it's universal, you need to break out of your comfort zone. For example, right, days of Kirk David. You know, you're in the UK, sometimes you want to make your music bigger, you cross over. Everybody, even the likes of Ed Sheeran, all of them, they did the same thing. So it's not just an African thing.
Yeah.
For Ghana, especially Nigeria, when it comes to the music, they need to see the fact that we do not stay in our comfort zone. And it's good for music too. You could be the biggest guy in your space. If that's your target audience, it's great. But the thing is, when you want to break out, you want to bring on a world stage, you need to step out of your zone. And for me, coming to radio, again, is not, I'm using examples of music. That's high life. Flavor gets radio play. If I come back, hip hop, same like Fino, doesn't regardless of what language you, Jackie,
it's good music,
exactly,
it's
it's good music. Likes of Daddy Lumba. We used to get a lot of airplay. And you know, the kind of music they do even back then in Ghana, even a lot of Ghanaians don't listen to Daddy Lumba anymore. But that's to tell you that, you know, the thing is, people need to spend time, as much as we know that the media sometimes can be traditional, but it still serves a lot of people. So if you take out time, there are a lot of mediums now.
Yeah.
But this medium still serve the same purpose. And it's just that people don't pay as much attention as they used to. That's what they think or they feel he doesn't serve them.
I agree with you. I mean, the one thing I would not stand for, you know, I saw something about, it's a population thing, or, you know, making it look like Nigerian artists don't work hard. We all know them and we know how hard they work, so we have to give them credit for that. But let's look at 2022 now, because last year was amazing for music in Nigeria. Absolutely. I don't know what's this drank. That's just, you know, so many people who were bubbling under sort of just shot through the most streamed, the most Shazam music in the world, the most used song on TikTok. You know, we had all these things. Grammys flew in. Grammy nominations flew in. So much happened in 2021. It feels like the bar is now so high. You know, what can possibly happen this year to top last year?
Well, for me, I feel like the only thing that would happen, I'll be grateful for, is the right structure. Because if you can have the respect amongst your peers, you might have a big blockbuster, a box office hit, you might have one of the most streamed songs. What will be good, and I think I'll be happy with, is where all these things all built are actually properly structured. Because the truth is, music, as much as we know, fame can be fickle. Longevity matters too, and relevance. And now all these things are good, but the biggest artists, we're not so many. Because the truth is, now maybe raise a one-hit song, then it's a huge thing. But I feel for me, what I'm seeing right now is a lot of, middlemen, a lot of record labels, international record labels, a lot of gatekeepers will be coming into Nigeria.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest with you, the back conversation is they're very open to seeing that Nigeria as a whole, even Africa as a whole, is a hub for entertainment. And
they have to pay attention.
Exactly.
Now.
Whiskey shutting down shows,
Yeah.
Davido killing it still, Burna Boy, winning a Grammy. That is a window to a lot of things. So I feel like this year, everybody is to belt up.
Yeah.
Because now everybody will be thinking.
But what does structure look like, though? Because there's also the argument which people like Chance the Rapper have started putting out, saying he's never been signed to a label, he's very successful, and the way the world works now, I mean, you can literally just blow, for want of a better word, in your room. Yeah. Put your thing on Twitter, put it on TikTok, and it goes well, and you work out. I mean, is structure traditionally what it used to be?
No, it's not. Because now the thing is, you put out music like that, it's good. People will listen to it. But at the end of the day, you might be the biggest guy everybody talks about, but it doesn't equate to what is in the bank. So now you're putting out music, there has to be a plan. Yeah. You have to think of playlisting, you have to think of networking, you have to think of radio, TV promotions, and now you also have to think of, platforms you put the music that actually just, turn around and bring out the money. So you're only just making a record. Making a hit record is one. Putting the record out can be big, but it's not going to serve the purpose because at the end of the day, it's not properly structured. And this means that, first of all, if you want to sign a record deal, please, first of all, get a lawyer to read your contract, first of all, because you notice there's a lot of problems with record labels and all that. But it's also good, and I also encourage a lot of guys to be independent, which is not easy, because once you get independent, it's easier. But the truth is, you have to know where your music is going to. You have to understand distribution. You need to understand where my music, where it's going to, where I'm plugging my songs, because that is where you can make a hit song and then it equates to money. So I feel structure for me, for example, you put it in, I don't want to mention all the platforms, but putting out music, there are places you put it on that people go there and stream. That equates to money.
Yeah.
So all these things have to be in place. And structure also means your mindset, your team, your team, who you're working with, and also who your target audience are as well. You have to put it into the right perspective.
Let's talk the Grammys, because we finally broke the jinx last year. After so many years of the Cooties and, Sonny Ade and Burna Boy, and then finally we got there. And then we have 2 or 3 nominations, I believe, this year at the Grammys.
Yeah.
Are you positive, we're going to do it again? I think Wizkid has 2 nominations, both for his single, and there are people who even think we're under nominated. Like, why, for example, why was Essence not nominated for Song of the Year, considering how big it was even in the States? Are you feeling positive? And is this a beginning of, the proper mainstreaming of Nigerian music?
Well, first of all, the Grammys brought a new category, and I'll tell you why. Because I had a chance to break that, because when they wanted to break that category, there's a global, I think it's a global music category where you can put in your single. So, for example, likes of the Oxlades, or likes of you can put in your single. You can have a record. Like a lot of people had a good record. Once it's good, put it in there. They brought that category because of how the music and African music or Nigerian music, pushed the boundary. I mean, not even just Nigerian music, African music, just to give you more opportunity to open the window. So you can tell that they have an eye in Africa. So the truth is, this year, just to be sure, I feel Wizkid might get a Grammy this year. It'll be close, but I think he might pick it up.
Yeah.
Because some things are actually just, it's obvious now that, for example, for you to do a tour in the States, Burna, Davido, all these guys, open up, shutting down big venues.
Arenas,
That is the eye they want to see. So I feel like this year, we're looking at it.
Yeah.
And shout out to all the Cootie family. People didn't even know that Femi did a collaboration with Coldplay that got a nomination at the last Grammys. We need to start checking our music and having the right knowledge about
having
it.
the right conversations. I want to talk about the big 3 now. Wizkid, Davido, Burna Boy. Those names have been in the conversation now for about 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to hold as the big 3? Because there's a lot of guys and girls who are doing amazing and who had a great 2021. Do you think it's going to crack this year?
The difference between the big 3 are definitely the team and who they're speaking with. Your team you have to come correct on the people you're working with. You have to have the right conversation. Go to where, the music It's not about, I feel like most of the time we make music just to make people have fun. But the truth is, are you educating yourselves while you're doing that? And that's the difference between the big three.
Yeah.
Now, these guys have the right people, they speak in the right conversation, and their music, like when Burner did
Talent
the
is
first
not
time, yeah,
everything.
they're working towards, I need to get this.
Yeah.
I want this.
So you have to be intentional.
You have to be intentional and be deliberate about it. So
Yeah.
for me, the big three, the thing is they become mentors to a lot of people. So, but the truth is, we have a lot of guys streaming right now. Fireboy's coming hard. You know, doing a collaboration with Ed Sheeran, that's a big deal. So those are the kind of guys you need to look out for.
Yeah, because they're coming.
know, they're moving into that. So I feel people like Fireboy, Joe Boy. You know, there's that box of guys that, you know, when you're talking about big three,
yeah.
you'll be talking about Rema. Those are the guys. So I feel like they will be the big three, I feel, but I think there might be more. And shout out to T.W. Savage as well.
Of course. Before we move on to Nollywood, very quickly now, I want to talk beefs now, because we finally saw P Square back together. Thank you very much. It was long overdue.
Yeah.
And we saw Boy put up saying something about, I'm cool with David now, which was very shocking to people. But it still looks like David and Wiz are still left, and all the other sprinkling of beefs around there. Do you think it's time for all of this to, because people would say sometimes beef even helps your streaming, and helps your fan base.
Yeah.
But is it time for all of these things to go? Do you think it's going to happen this year?
I don't like beef, but I love competition.
Yeah.
For them, the truth is, even if they want to stay together, the fans are the ones to decide what happens. I know they can make it and say we're cool, but I feel there is it's unhealthy sometimes, but there is a spark in rivalry. It might not seem like that, and people might not like it for the sake of unity, but the truth is, I think they can be cordial, and I think they can work together. They have to, but it has to be on the right platform.
Yeah.
People have to put out the right money to get them to do a record together. But it doesn't have to be that. But I feel the beef is not good. But the competition is always good
as long as it's healthy.
Yeah.
Let's quickly talk Nollywood now, because Netflix has been here for quite a bit. Towards the end of last year, we saw Amazon Prime make a big sort of impression in the market. Obviously, it looks like 2022 is going to be exciting in that space. Showmax, for example, is also trying to be more intentional with their programming. Streaming is coming in heavy this year.
Absolutely.
Exciting stuff.
And the thing is, I feel like everything turned around during the time of COVID.
Yeah,
Everyone
the lockdown
realized
definitely.
that there's a lot more. And now, what I'm happy about is in Nollywood, they've become Nigerians, especially, film in Nigeria. Speaking about Nigeria, we've become the post boy or post lady or post girl of the lack of movies in Africa, and I think that's good. Nowadays, a lot of people we don't even spend time. Once you get the littlest of data, we want to watch a movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of movies that dropped, even in the new year, like the Chief Daddies and all that. Everybody's going in now. So I feel like the truth is, it still comes back to structure. I want us to be able to see how actors make movies that take them all the way out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not going on screen for the next 5 years and 10 years, and you're
Because
still
you're
good.
comfortable enough.
Exactly. And I think that's what that does for us, where we now put our movies and our content somewhere, and it just trickles down to good money. Because at the end of the day, that's what happens at the end of the day. We have to be able to make those things happen. But honestly, Nigerians we're beginning to leave, and we're beginning to step out of our zones. And to me, those are the windows that make people come in and want to invest. For example, Netflix, so they become the face of it. And that's cool when it comes to movies. I just want it to be properly structured, where everybody's going over. You don't have to get on screen for the next 5 years. You can pick your script and say, and I would continue with a lot of people, and you can say, you know what, I want this guy in the next, Hollywood movie. And we're already doing that.
Yeah. Just very, very quickly before we go, do you think 2022 can top 2021 entertainment?
2020, I don't want to make any prediction. I'm not allowed to, but I would tell you for a fact, I think there will be a lot of, there'll be spaces for a lot more people. And I think they say a lot of people will be more daring. Because honestly, if you're not booking shows in December, that's an eye-opener for you.
It's a wake-up call.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Justin. All the best with you and all the things you do.
Thank you.
You also had a good December. The Turn-Up King. Thanks a lot for joining us, and have a great 2022.
Thank you. You too, man.
All right, we're going to take a quick break now and come back. Please don't go away.